Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My dear students, today we are going to talk about a new topic, chapter 2, and that is about drug information resources. I'm sure you remember when we talked about the outcomes of the course, and one of the outcomes is to be able to differentiate between primary, secondary, and tertiary resources. So for this topic, let's see what are the outcomes and relate that to the course outcome. One, and you will see this very clearly, differentiate between primary, secondary, tertiary sources of information. You are not only required to know the differences, but the characteristics of each one, as well as how to assess each one and what are determine the reliable resource for each one of them. So it's many things here. Another thing is you should be able to select a particular type of resource in order to serve a particular pharmacy practice area. Let's say you are a clinical pharmacokinetic specialist, so you want something related to pharmacokinetics. If you are in therapy ward, maybe you need something related to therapy. Also, you need to tell us what are the roles of technology. What I mean here, the role of internet and personal digital assistant, such as the smart mobile phones and tablets, in providing drug information. What are the impact of that? As I said earlier in the first outcome or objective of this topic, you should be able to critique the resource that you are using. For example, you should be able to critique tertiary resources to determine whether it's appropriate or not. Also, you need to tell us about what is the appropriate search strategy, what you need to do if you are going to use secondary resources or databases in searching for a particular information. So how do you do the search? Also, there are alternative resources other than what we will usually talk about. There are other resources that we may refer to. So what are these resources? These are the things that you should be able to answer after completing this topic. To begin with, طبعا التكنولوجي the available of internet and personal digital assistants, what they did actually is they made the access to the information faster, okay, and as well as many people can, for example, use the internet at the same time, but this does not apply to, for example, one textbook. If you have one textbook, then one by one can use this textbook. But for internet, we all can search for the same information at the same time. Usually, when you are asked about a question, in many cases, the practitioner or the professional usually will have like a textbook. For example, let me give you some example: BNF, British National Formulary, or Drug Information Handbook, or something similar that they usually find it easy and reliable to get the information. But if you just go for the most familiar one to you, you will be missing new resources. هاي رقم واحد. First, new resources that can be beneficial, you are missing it. Another thing, there is a possibility that the information is not comprehensive or complete. It's not comprehensive. It doesn't, for example, If you go to Drug Information Handbook, it will not give you complete information about the pharmacokinetic of the drug, for example. Okay, so you might be missing some information. In any way, usually the professional or the pharmacist to answer a particular information, or to answer a particular question, he will go stepwise in search. First, usually they will start with tertiary resources. إذن شو systematic way to do the search? First, they start with tertiary resources, then they go for secondary resources, and finally they go for primary resources. Let me here briefly discuss each one, okay, and then of course we will discuss each one in more details. But when we say tertiary resources, we are talking here about textbooks in general, databases like, for example, lexicon that you are going to use بيكون فيها or databases where you have full text, review articles. But I want you to pay attention from now regarding review articles, because there are different types of review articles. One that is general, وبتلاقوا even you will find that even the topic is a little bit general. يعني for example, someone is discussing about diabetes, هذا general, okay, but someone is discussing about particular drug used in diabetes, this is more specific, for example. So I'm talking about general articles. We call them narrative reviews. وهي narrative reviews, they are sort of summarizing the findings in a particular area, okay. Such review articles, we consider them as tertiary resources. The other types اللي هي systematic reviews, and systematic reviews will consider them as secondary resources. Systematic reviews نحكي لهم secondary because they discuss a very particular or very specific topic, and they have a system in looking and using the information that they gather. Plus, it has a lot of references, and that's why we consider them as secondary. هذا systematic reviews. طيب هلا someone will tell me, what do you mean by tertiary? Why do we call it tertiary? Okay, let me just tell you. If you are doing an experiment, suppose you are doing a research and you are doing an experiment coming up with new results. طيب هاي results, maybe you are putting it in your notes or you are publishing it. You are publishing the new results. Now, because it is the first time it gets published, or it gets written on the notes, now this information was not there before, so this is a new information. That's why we classify it as primary, okay. Now, when someone wants to write a general review or a textbook about, for example, diabetes or cardiovascular problems or hypertension, etc., and what they do is they try to summarize all the findings and put it as a chapter in a textbook. For example, about hypertension, this is one chapter. So where did they get it? They get it from the primary literature, okay, from the findings, and these findings can be old or new, okay. That's why we classify it as tertiary. هلا بين البرايمري والtertiary we have secondary. With secondary, let me just briefly talk about it here. They are databases, mainly they are databases that will allow you to search for the primary literature. اللي هي, where do you usually see the primary literature? You see it where? In the journals, periodical journals. It's there where scientists usually publish their research. فإذا Secondary resources, these are databases. It's like search engine, but it's not google.com. No, it's specific to direct the users لوين للprimary literature. And where is this primary literature? It's usually in the journals. طيب, why do we call it primary? Because it's the first place where the results appear, okay, where it gets published. So it's a kind of new information. طيب, what about the review articles? We said if they are general, we classify them as tertiary. It's just like a chapter in a textbook. But if it is systematic, specific, with a system for including literature, يعني which in my review, what articles do I include? Okay, now there is a system like inclusion criteria. I will include the paper if it meets 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, in case it is systematic reviews, we will consider them as also secondary resources. Okay, is a review articles can be tertiary or secondary. It's tertiary if it is a general review, and if it is systematic reviews, then we will consider them as secondary resources. Okay, is unusually when someone wants to get information, first he needs to get some background about the subject. So he will go to tertiary, he will look at textbooks maybe, and then from there in most cases he will okay, he wants to look for even deeper information about particular point in this chapter. Okay, and in this case he will go to the secondary resources databases, and from there he will search for the primary literature, the original results. And these original results can be very recent and very new, but it also can be an old literature that was published many years ago. Okay. طيب, إذن this is the systematic way of looking at or answering a question. هلا it doesn't mean that you will have to go through all these process اللي هو starting with textbook, بعدين you start searching for the secondary using secondary databases to search for articles اللي هي primary literature. Maybe you don't need to go all through these steps. طيب, لعاد ايش؟ Okay, I will talk about this. But one of the common way first to get some background information اللي هي searching through the internet. For example, you want to know what is diabetes or what is hypertension, how is it defined. Instead of going to the textbook, most probably it's easier for you to search the internet for background information. But please be careful, because I told you many times that internet is full of incorrect or incomplete health information. That's why usually the internet would be useful to you if you are searching for a type of information that is not usually available in textbooks. Okay, like for example, new disease that you hear about. Okay, so you want to know what is it about. Okay, فإذا using the internet you will be able to get some background information. Other thing you can do is asking expert or specialist in the field. Let's say this disease affects the heart, or it can affect children, etc. So you will go for experts or specialists in that area. طبعا, how do I find them? طبعا you can find them in the hospitals. You can do a search over the internet to find those specialists. Okay, and usually they will have publications in the field, and you will usually also be aware of a new development in the field. Okay, فطبعا asking experts or specialists, this is not the normal way of retrieving information. Okay, so it's considered under other resources. طيب, as I told you previously, maybe you don't need to employ the steps that I discussed earlier, to start with tertiary, then secondary, then primary. In many cases, the type of requester, the person asking you or requesting the question, can determine how you gonna search for the information. You are going to start with tertiary or what? Usually, if it is a customer or patient, usually it's satisfactory answered from tertiary resources instead of go and searching for primary literature, which is really a tedious job. But if a prescriber is requesting detailed information, in this case, most probably you will search for the primary literature. For example, the physician might ask you, or the prescriber might ask you, there is a new drug and I want to know how effective is this drug. What are the results from clinical trials? So in this case, you might go for a primary literature to find or to answer this question. Also, you should be aware that new areas where you might be requested to answer questions for, في هناك new areas. الفارماسيست, older pharmacists, they are not used to this area. But for you as a professional pharmacist, you should be able to answer such questions. Highly questions is regarding dietary supplements and alternative therapies. يعني for example, herbal products, the vitamins, because you know that nowadays the public is more curious about such therapies and about dietary supplements, so they may ask you, okay, if I take vitamin A, is this okay? Can I take it every day? What is the daily allowed dose, etc. فإذا, or maybe they will ask you, okay, I hear that cinnamon can reduce blood glucose level, so I have diabetes and I'm taking medication. What do you suggest? Okay, فإذا people are more interested in such areas. Additionally, people are also interested in the area of veterinary medicine or pharmacy. And here I'm talking about pets. Okay, I'm sure that some of you might have a pet. Okay, for example, I have 2 parrots in my house. They are the African greys, African gray parrot. So you might be asked for a medicine, or you might be asked a question regarding the pets, and you should be in a position to answer, even though it's not your really specialization. You did not study a lot about animals and the problem with the animals, but you should be able to do that if you know the resource that you should refer to, and you should know also as well that there are several common drugs between human and animals. Okay, فإذا you should be able to help even in this situation. طيب, so now I will start talking about each one of these resources, and in today's lecture I'm going to finish tertiary resources, inshallah. And as I said, it's textbooks, databases, but be careful. You have to differentiate between these databases and the secondary databases. Secondary databases are meant to lead you to the primary literature. Databases here, they are meant to answer your question from the resources or the suite of references that are in the database. Okay, هون ايش in this secondary, The secondary database is supposed to direct you and lead you to the primary literature. So it will show you uh, articles of the primary literature. So what are tertiary resources? How do we evaluate tertiary resources? And what are the advantages and disadvantages of tertiary resources? طبعا as I told you, it's textbooks, compendia, review articles, اللي هي general review articles, general information that you might find in the internet. In addition, طبعا as I told you previously, databases that are available and can help you to answer certain questions, okay, regarding to medication. The nice thing about these tertiary resources, they are easy to use, easy to understand. We are familiar with them. I'm sure that you are familiar with some textbooks, for example. It's convenient to use because it's divided as chapters and there is index, so you can locate the information very quickly. And usually they are concise, okay, because they will look at so many detailed primary literature and then they will summarize it, so it's concise, يعني summarized, and fairly complete, يعني not really complete, you cannot make it complete, okay, because the complete thing is there in the primary literature, okay. uh, also practitioners are familiar with such resource, and that's why it's excellent first line resources. يعني usually we will go for these resources at the beginning to get some background information, as I explained previously. But the major drawback, يعني disadvantages, and the most important اللي هي lack time. لدرجة انه to the extent that when the book is published, already the information inside it is probably old, and maybe some new information has been published in the primary literature and was not retrieved from these new publications. Okay, فإذا lag time is one of the disadvantages. Another disadvantage اللي هي the person who's writing a chapter or a topic or a monograph needs to summarize because he has limited space. He cannot write everything. So he needs to write the most important thing from his point of view. And this means that the information might not be complete. Okay? Also, in the box, there can be error in transcription. For example, typing something, number or something, and there is a mistake with zero, and zero can make a big difference, for example. Also, there is the human bias. For example, if I want to write a chapter about hypertension, I may use mainly literature or primary literature that I have published, and I may ignore other opinions. فإذا في عنا bias. Or I may use the publications of authors from my country and maybe not another country, okay, etc. فإذا there can be bias, يعني تحيز, okay, and this will lead to bias information. Also, my understanding can be different from someone else. Like, for example, if I have two opinions, okay, I'm looking at the primary literature because I want to write a chapter or a monograph. So I'm looking at different primary literature. And then I found that there are two contradicting researches. Okay, they are contradicting each other. And according to my interpretation, I used or I preferred one over the other. And, maybe in reality it's the opposite. So I made or I incorrectly interpreted the information. Another very important thing is author's specialty. So if I ask you, for example, to write a poem, you might not be able to do that in the right way because you are not a specialist. Okay, if I ask you to make a car, maybe you will not do it in the right way even if you do some research, because you are not specialist in that area. When you look at textbooks, you need to look at the authors, and let me add here the publisher as well. Good publishers will choose good authors. Okay. طيب. So if I look at the internet or if I look at a textbook, how do I consider this textbook to have reliable information? Okay, this is very important question because you need to evaluate a literature. So for tertiary resources, you need to make sure that the authors of the textbook have the required expertise to publish in this area. هل هم معروفين؟ are they well known؟ زي ديبيرو مثلا, he is very well known بالفارماكوثيرابي مثلا. Okay, ديبيرو. And you can do a search to make sure that the authors are well experienced in their area of publication. Also, you need to look at whether the information inside are up to date or not. Maybe you are looking at an old edition of the textbook, or maybe it's new but the information inside is old. And how will I know that the information is old and there is new information? This can come from experience and as well as from the references they list in the textbook. Yani, if you are writing a chapter, you need to put your references. If these references are old, it means the information is old even if the textbook is published recently. Another thing, does it contain citations and references? If there are many citations and references, شو بيحكي لنا هذا؟ يعني whenever I say information, I give citation. It tells me that this monograph or this chapter was written after referring to many primary literature. Okay, articles described as primary literature. Okay, number two, in case you want to have more information about particular point, you'll be able to go to the reference and find the whole article and read it. So this will give the textbook strength. Another thing which you need to assess, will this textbook be able to answer the question from the requester? If the requester is asking me about pharmacokinetics, okay, pharmacokinetic question, will this textbook be able to answer that in details? Okay, because we have some resources that are dedicated to certain fields. فإذا you need to see whether this will be related to the question you were asked about. طيب, does it appear to be biased and there are some clear errors? You have to read. Like, for example, if I go to a website and it's describing the medication as magic and miracle, then of course these terms are not scientific at all, and in this case for me it appears to be bias. Okay, and maybe if you dig deeper, you will find that the information presented is unreliable. Okay. Okay, so as I told you, the resource should focus on the type of information you need for the particular situation. And as I told you, you need to consider the like, if I ask you a question, for example, I tell you, will cinnamon affect blood glucose level? You need to categorize this question. لازم تسوي لها categorizing. شو يعني؟ what does it mean? It means you have to tell me, is this question about herbal drug? Is this question about pharmacokinetic? Is this question about pregnancy? So you have to classify it. Once you are able to classify the question, it will be easier for you to go to the right resource. For example, when I talked about cinnamon, here I'm talking about alternative medicine or I'm talking about herbal medicine. So this is the classification. So in this case, I need to go to such textbooks that are focusing in on this area. طيب, what you see here, summary of the type of request that you might get, and example of tertiary resources that will be helpful to you. As you see in this table, I'm not going to ask you to memorize it, but I want you to go through the table just to get familiar with the names here. But I want you to memorize at least some of these resources, because what I'm going to explain now, these are most common drug information resources that are used, and you should be able to identify them, you should be able to use them, you should know about them. The good thing that you are going to practice this in the lab, inshallah. طيب, do you need to memorize everything here? No, you need to know the title and what information you can get from this title. Okay. طيب, in general, if you are looking at a certain product information, then one of the references is AHFS drug information. AHFS drug information. And this is published. طبعا, you don't need to memorize the publisher, although it's good that you are familiar with the publishers. It's published by American Society of Health System Pharmacists. And AHFS refers to American Hospital Formulary Services. And in this textbook, you will find different types of drugs and their uses in the form of monographs. طبعا, monographs means they will take each drug and they will talk about it in a concise way. Okay, they cannot put all the information, so they will summarize it, putting the most important things for you to read about. So it contains this textbook, okay, which is also available as online in Lexicon, okay. Contains products or drug information regarding drugs that are approved by FDA. I mean, the use of the drug is approved by FDA, and off-label uses of medications. هلا FDA approved معناته it means the medication received approval from FDA for the particular disease or condition. Off-label, it means this drug is not approved for that by FDA, but it has been well known about that medication that it can have other useful effect. Okay, for example, aspirin is initially was used for fever as anti-inflammatory, and then they found some useful uses for it in blood thinning, as a blood thinner. Metformin, for example, is used for diabetic patients, but it has some off-label uses as well. Some people, they use it to reduce weight even. Okay, فإذا it contains the approved use and the off-label use. Also, it contains information about what is the dose to take in a specific population, for example, someone with kidney failure, someone who's obese, etc. As I told you, it's available as textbook, but it's also available in mobile reference version and in database such as Lexicon. Clinical pharmacology is a database. It's an electronic database. And Elsevier consider it as the gold standard. تشبه اللexicon. Okay, the one that you'll be using inshallah in your semester, in this semester. Okay, you'll be using lexicon a lot to find to check the information, to get information, etc. طيب, it has the monograph of prescription and non-prescription drugs. Additionally, it has some dietary supplement information. It also have information about drug interactions and about intravenous compatibility. Okay, and I want you to remember this name, Trissels. Okay, Trissels is very well known for information regarding compatibility. طيب, في عنا Trissels, وhere Trissels have different textbooks or and different data يعني resource to database okay used. ففي we have for parenteral preparations, وفي عنا للextemporaneous preparations زي الophthalmic والاورال preparations. فتريسلز talks about ايش compatibility. Will it be compatible? What is the shelf life? How it should be done? Okay. Additionally, the clinical pharmacology can describe or can show you the input codes of products that are in the form of tablets. Also, another good thing, it has patient education information. Okay, but unfortunately this is in English and Spanish. So in case, for example, you are in a hospital and your hospital is subscribed to clinical pharmacology, which is maintained by Elsevier. This is a very well-known publisher. And a patient is discharged from the hospital, then you can print for this patient a leaflet regarding his condition. Okay, so it can help the patient في ايش في maintaining or management of his or her disease. طيب, clinicaltrials.gov. This is a website registry for public and privately funded clinical studies. Okay, يعني if you want to do clinical study, especially here I'm talking about not very small clinical studies, usually they are really supported well, then it's better for you to register your clinical trial. And one of the very well known registry for you to register the clinical trial اللي هي ايش clinicaltrials.gov. إذن what is this website? It contains registry for all the clinical trials, current clinical trials, and maybe also the clinical trials that will be conducted in the near future. Okay, so what will I benefit from that? I can go to the clinicaltrials.gov, for example, and I will show you this. Okay, see here, for example, I can see what are the new clinical trials by clicking here. Or not yet recruiting. يعني recruiting معناها it means that it's permitting subjects to get to the clinical trial at this stage. Okay, so for example, if you know a patient and this patient is having, let's say, a complicated disease or something, and he's not responding to medicine, he can be involved in this clinical trial if it is done when if it is done in his place diabetes مثلا. Okay, how I can diabetes type 2. Okay, this is the condition, and I want to see, for example, if uh, this there is a trial that will be is recruiting subjects for diabetes. I can also add the name of the drug here if I like, and the country. Okay, so do a search and then you will see if there are such trials. هيو مثلا عندنا we have see 839 studies, and you can read, and you can see here, you can also filter if you like, and you can choose many things here. For example, phase, study phase, I can choose 3 or 4, etc. If I click on هاي مثلا personalized nutrition for diabetes type 2. شوفوا هون what is the intervention. algorithm based diet و ADA based diet. Okay, and I want to see this. طبعا here it tells you about the places where it's done. If you click on this, okay, it gives you more information. What is the description of the study, how many participants will be there, etc. It talks about inclusion and exclusion criteria. What is the primary outcome? This is very important, remember it. Primary outcome, and what are the secondary outcomes that they will look at. Okay, sometimes completed trials they can post their results. Okay, طبعا here no results because it's still going on maybe, or even if it's done, it's not obligatory for them to publish their results, but in some cases they do that. Okay, so this can be very useful to you if you want, if you read a research paper and you want to look at the registry, what they were looking at exactly. Maybe you will find some additional information. Let me go back here. As I told you, here you can use, for example, NCT number. Okay, like let's say you are going to PubMed. I will tell you what is NCT number. If you go to PubMed and you click here, you say let's say diabetes type 2 diabetes, and here you want a clinical trial. Okay, and if I open this one, okay, okay, here they have the trial registration, but it might not be in clinicaltrials.gov, but let me see if it is here. Okay, okay, it's not there. Okay, let me try another one. Usually it's after the abstract. Usually they will put it here. Okay, I don't see it. I'll try another one. Okay, I'll try another one. See, it doesn't mean that all clinical trials will be there, but in many cases, yes, it will be there. Okay, and it will be registered there. Otherwise, this will make the literature weaker because they did not register their clinical trial. Okay. Okay, strange. I didn't see. Okay, I will add here this one as well. Randomized clinical trial. Okay, because some journals they will not accept the publication unless there is the clinical trial registration. Maybe I'm searching in the wrong place, but usually it will be at the end. Okay, I've seen many of these things. I'm sure it's somewhere. Usually, as I told you, it will be at the end. Let me see this. Why طبعا the journals will not force the authors to register their clinical trial in a particular registry, but the most common registry, as I told you, اللي هي clinicaltrials.gov, but there are some other as well. Okay, I'm sure I'm gonna get one of these. Here you see this one, and you can even click on it to go to the clinicaltrial.gov, and here it shows you the what they did exactly and what they were comparing, what are the arms, يعني what are things they were looking at, sorry, using, what is the intervention, what is the control, and what is the primary outcome, secondary outcome. And even though they published their results here, they didn't post the results because it's not obligatory for them to post it. Okay, this is what I'm trying to tell you. You can get some more information about what they were doing. طبعا you might ask me, okay, what will I benefit? Is it possible that I will get different information? No. First, you might get additional information. Second, and this is very important, you will look at what they were trying to get for the primary outcome and secondary. and you will make sure that they have actually talked about these measures, whether primary outcomes or secondary. Because if they talk only about the primary, it means maybe there is a problem with their secondary results. Okay, let me go back. في عندنا كمان a very nice website اللي هو Daily Med, this is by the National Library of Medicine, the National Institute of Health, maintained by USA. And the nice thing is that you can get a lot of nice information, monographs about drugs approved by FDA. For example, let me just show you here. So here you can enter the name of the drug, for example, atinolol, okay, and you can search for it. And see what is the beautiful thing, they give you even how the package look like, okay. For example, here we have a combination of the drugs, but here we have just the drug, okay. And what can you see here? A lot of things: warning, description, and if you require more information, for example, clinical pharmacology, just click on it and you will get additional information. So this is very useful. So if I tell you about medication and you want to know whether this has been approved by FDA or not, this will be a good reference for you. Another good reference اللي هو drugs.com, and here it also tells you about the medication and even the photo of the tablet or capsule and whether there is an interaction or not. The problem with this database, if you go to this website, you will see advertisement, some commercial advertisement on each page of the website. Another good reference اللي هو drug facts and comparison, and this is for the publisher Walter Clower, and it's available both in print and online. Online موجود ب facts and comparisons e-answers مثل الداتابيز, and this database can include other suites. For example, trissels, تتذكروها trissels, it's for compatibility, clinical calculator, natural product, okay, database, the one that is available as database, pregnancy and lactation warnings, okay, prescription and non-prescription drugs. So this is a nice database. Another very important database and one of the most well-known database, in the past, long time ago, Micromedics كان هو leading. Nowadays, Lexicom is one of the top databases, and fortunately, we are subscribed to this database. It has information about the use of drugs in different population, special population groups: geriatric, neonates, elder, pediatric. It has information about toxicology. It has even information about herbal products. So there are many very important information that is provided by this database. And as you already know, you are going to use Lexicom inshallah during this semester. If I click on it here, just for you to see the website. So this is the website. The publisher اللي هو عارفين مين الببلشر؟ والتر كلوور. شوفوا هون facts and comparison Lexicom, okay. Facts and comparisons, I already talked about it just here, and the same company is responsible for that. One of the old textbook that is really being very beneficial اللي هو مارتنديل The Complete Drug Reference. وموجود في Medicines Complete. Medicines Complete هذا database. Okay. Martindale The Complete Drug Reference is a textbook, but it's available in the database online يعني, and it's published by the Pharmaceutical Press. واتذكروا Pharmaceutical Press belongs to the Royal Society تاعت UK, Royal Society of UK. we This Pharmaceutical Press also publishes اللي هي BNF. This is a very well known booklet اللي هو British National Formulary. I remember in one time most of my students used to have this textbook اللي هو British National Formulary. So what does it contain in Martindale? It contains over 6,000 drug monographs. Drugs from different countries. We has common herbal products, have information about common herbal products including diagnostic agents, radiopharmaceuticals, and شوفوا some veterinary products. Okay, موجود في الداتابيز اللي هو الميديسين كومبليت. Okay. Mediscape, I'm sure that some of you are familiar with Mediscape. If I click on it, you can register in Mediscape for free. شوفوا, I'm registered here, my name is here, and you will see that you can search for drugs. So شوفوا OTC and herbal, drugs, OTC and herbals, disease condition, procedure, anatomy. So في عندهم videos, في عندهم education, and they will send you newsletter, I think, every week maybe, just to update you with information. So this is also a good place that you can refer to. فإذا if I give you a medication, or I received something in social media and you want to check it, you need to go to these websites. These websites are much more reliable. They are not 100% perfect, but they are much more reliable than other websites. Micromedics, as I told you, in the old days, it was really very well known drug database. Its publisher is Proven Health Analytics. Previously it was Thomson Health. Okay, now Proven, they bought it, and it's under IBM Watson Health Company. Okay, this is similar to Lexicon. Okay, for example, it contains monograph of drugs. It has FDA approved and off-label uses of drugs, pharmacokinetic data, safety, IV compatibility, identification, management of overdose. So it's very similar to Lexicon. PDR, or physician desk reference, and sometimes they call it prescriber's digital reference. This is available online with a free registration. You can subscribe to it, and it's actually a collection of package inserts. تعرفوا الدرug products will contain leaflets. فالleaflets هاي, they are available in PDR اللي هو physician desk reference, including the manufacturer information about the manufacturers and the poison control centers that are available. Okay, في هناك PDR plus for patients, they can buy it for consumers, okay, if they want to know more about their medication. So it's done or it's written so that the patients can understand the language. طبعا ال FDA, all of you know the website for FDA, and you should know that FDA deals with drugs, food, dietary supplements, medical devices, vaccines, biologics, veterinary products, cosmetics, even tobacco. They provide information and updates regarding any product recall. For example, if they find that one product is really dangerous in the market, they will give alert. One of the also important thing in this website اللي هي الأورنج book. Orange book. It's not because it's orange in color, but they name it as Orange book. في الأورنج book they will show you the approved products, كل ال products that are approved by FDA, and what are the therapeutic equivalency therapeutic equivalents for the brand product. بتعرفوا when there is a new drug made by innovative company, it's new, there is no such drug in the market, and it gets approved by FDA. This we call it branded or innovative company product. After the patency expires, other companies such as Gelfar, New Pharma, etc., they will produce generic products, يعني imitation for the brand products, and then they will put it in the market. هلا في ال USA there are such things as well. يعني في هناك companies that will imitate the original brand, and for them to get them approved في ال FDA, they must prove that it's bioequivalent with the brand. And bioequivalent, you will know inshallah in third year, bioequivalent means same rate and extent. يعني the drug will reach the site of action at the same rate and extent. هلا the drug now is well known. 20 years has passed. Everybody knows the drug, but they cannot produce it unless 20 years pass from registering the patency. After that, they can use the drug. They can manufacture it, they can synthesize it, and they can use it. Okay? Now, these products that they will produce with the drug, they call it generics or generic products. Okay? هلا in order for them to approve it for marketing, they need to say that the rate and extent by which the drug reached the site of action is similar to the brand. معناته it's effective as the brand. It has similar efficacy as the brand, and they call it therapeutic equivalence. طيب, in case you are looking for adverse effects, يعني someone is asking you about an adverse effect of a drug, where should you look for? Where do you look? Which resource will be good for that? طيب, can you find it في ال tertiary اللي هي للgeneral drug products? Yes, you might find it, but for you to get better information, it's better that you go for specific resources for side effects, such as Mailer's side effects of drugs, and this is published by Elsevier. Okay, the chapters are classified by drug classes. It's available in print and as ebook. طيب, in case, طبعا I want you to know that I have removed so many resources in order to facilitate for you to grasp the information of these resources. Okay, يعني في هناك more than just Mailer side effects of drugs. طيب, if you are looking at dietary and herbal supplements, we have good resource for that بالwebsite, and this is free Okay, for example, let me click here. طبعا it's published by or maintained by the Office of Dietary Supplements. It's governmental. وعادة usually the governmental websites are reliable usually. Okay, it's taking long time. So you can search through this website, for example, for cinnamon if you want to see whether it's effective or not. Okay. Okay, there is a problem reaching the site. If you want to identify a drug, for example, let's say that someone is calling you or requesting you, they are saying that they have tablets but they don't know what are these tablets for. فلexicom can help you with that عن طريق الريسورس Lexi Drug ID. شوفوا, when you see such title, you should understand that it is not a textbook. Okay, for example, let me show you an example where it's very okay, I'll go back. شوفوا هون for example okay, في عندنا drug information handbook. So when we say drug information handbook, from the word handbook you know that it's a textbook. Okay, but such titles like Lexi Drug ID, okay, it's very obvious that this is an online resource. طيب, what about if you want to look for drug interaction? What are the best resources? في عندنا اللي هي, if you remember, facts and comparisons موجود. It's available as a database platform and it will contain drug interaction, drug food interaction. Not only that, but it will also talk about the significance of this interaction. Is it يعني ممكن يكون في interaction but it's يعني very low أو it's not severe interaction, يعني very low type of interaction. Okay, and this is available in print as well as electronic format, مثلا في facts and comparison as I told you previously. الفارماسيوتيكال بريس اللي هي Royal Society of Great Britain, sorry if I said something different before. Pharmaceutical Press, which is for the Royal Society of Great Britain, publishes Stockley's Drug Interaction. Okay, Stockley's Drug Interaction, and it has it talks about interaction among drugs, herbal medicines, foods, and drinks. And in addition to the textbook, it's available online بالmedicinecomplete.com اللي هو database هذا. زي مين؟ زي Facts and Comparison. بس Facts and Comparison is by Walter Clower. Lexicon by Walter Clower. Clinical Pharmacology database is by Elsevier. Medicines Complete is by Pharmaceutical Press اللي هي تابعة, it's which belongs to Royal Society of Great Britain. طيب, now you have a case here which you need to solve. Okay, I need you to solve this question. Okay, this is a case study for you to solve. طبعا I want you to send this. Inshallah, I will create اللي هي on Moodle. I will create assignment submission under chapter 2 in order for you to submit the case study. طيب, what about if you want to know the price of the drug? طبعا we have the Red Book drug topics, but this is a USA version and it's available within Micromedics. Okay, you will see the national drug code, It tells you also about the routes of administration, the dosage form, the size, the strength, etc. طيب, what if I want information about pharmacokinetic? One of the references اللي هو applied biopharmaceutics and pharmacokinetics, and this textbook is important for you in third year when you study the course biopharmaceutics and pharmacokinetics. طيب, and this is by the publisher Macro Hill. And you remember we have access to that through Access Pharmacy. The university is subscribed to that. Let me just see it here if I click on it. Okay, this is the okay, this is not Access Pharmacy, but if I type Access Pharmacy, then I will find this textbook about pharmacokinetics as well as applied clinical pharmacokinetics. Now I will want you to see that here. شوف هنا clinical pharmacokinetics and drug dosing. هنا applied clinical pharmacokinetics. Okay, this is one of the references I talked about. Here the other one, applied biopharmaceutics and pharmacokinetics. So you can get pharmacokinetics related information. طيب, في الفارماكولوجي there is a very well known textbook اللي هو Goodman and Gilman's the pharmacological basis of therapeutic. برضو موجود في Access Pharmacy. خلينا نشوفه. Let's see it. شوف هنا في basic and clinical pharmacology. أيوه, Goodman and Gilman, the pharmacological basis of therapeutics. So you will find also this textbook in Access Pharmacy. طيب, what about, you might get a lot of questions regarding whether a drug is safe for pregnant women or lactating women. And Lippincott, William, and Wilkins, and this is also belongs to Walter Clower. Okay, this is Walter Clower as well. They have an important reference that is referred to as Briggs. Okay, لما احكي شو Briggs, it's drugs in pregnancy and lactation. And this Briggs is available in Facts and Comparison اللي هو برضه لوالتر كلوور, وبرضه database, وبرضه باللكسيكوم database. في طبعا the resource contain information about the fetal risk. اوكي, وحتى كمان في feeding, breastfeeding. اوكي, what will happen. وكمان it contains animal literature. Sometimes you don't have information in a human about the effect of the drug on fetus. You can see the information on animals. طيب, what about special populations such as geriatric? We have also by Walter Clower اللي هو Geriatric Dosage Handbook. طبعا these are for elderly. And we have also for pediatric and neonatal dosage form handbook. برضو Walter Clower موجود في lexicon. Here you have another case which I want you to also answer. Okay, so the previous case and this case together answer them. طيب, what about if you have to prepare an IV preparation? عندكم IV preparation that contains more than one medication. You want to mix them together. طبعا there can be incompatibility, there can be precipitation, it can kill people. فthe good reference as I told you اللي هو Trestles, اللي هو Handbook on Injectable Drugs, and this is available facts and comparisons database وفي الكلينيكال pharmacology وكمان في لكسيكوم as well. طيب, another thing برضو about parenteral admixtures, في عنا اللي هو King's Guide to Parenteral Admixture. King's Guide to Parenteral Admixtures موجود ك loose copy or bound copy, وموجود online عن طريق الداتابيز such as facts and comparisons. طيب, هون بيختلف شوي. هنا Trestles stability of compounded formulation. Here I'm talking about extemporaneous preparations such as preparation for oral, enteral, topical, ophthalmic. Okay, what should be the formulation? What is the stability? What is the shelf life? Okay, if you are in a hospital and a certain dosage form is not there, for example liquid preparation, and they ask you, okay, we want you to prepare the drug in liquid form from tablets, you can go to Trestles stability of compounded formulations and you can get the required information including the shelf life. في عندنا الميرك index which gives you information about chemical and pharmacological information of variety of chemicals including CAS number. Okay, اللي هو chemical abstract service number. Rementon, the science and practice of pharmacy. Previously this was published by Pharmaceutical Press. If you remember, the Pharmaceutical Press حكينا هي تابعة, it belongs to Royal Society of Great Britain, but now it has moved to Academic Press اللي تابعة لإلزيفير. So now it's Elsevier. Okay, the latest edition is 2020 and I think it's available in 2 volumes. What it can help us with, especially when we talk about common compounding techniques and ingredients that are used. Remember that we are here we should be here talking about, شوفوا هنا كنا نحكي على stability. Okay, but here we should be talking about اللي هو compounding. Okay, let me just go back to the table in order. On. Okay, compounding. See, when we talk about compounding, we have Rementons, we have Merck index, etc. So let me now compounding and just add it here. Okay, we have عندنا الميرك index because it can give us some information about the chemical, and from that what we can benefit from the structure and molecular weight and physical data with solubility. It can help us in compounding. That's why it is mentioned here. Rementons can help us in compounding. What about USPNF, يعني United States Pharmacopoeia National Formulary? It contains some preparation, some official preparation. راح تلاقوا فيها certain preparation. In addition, it tells you about the standards of the products. يعني, what does it mean? If you prepare a product, what are the standards that should pass by the product in order to be available for consumption or for marketing or for approval. شو هي هاي التستس should tests that I will do in order to make sure that the product passes the standards. All these things are available في United States Pharmacopoeia National Formulary. طيب, what about if you are asked about therapy, evaluation and drug of choice? في عنا, you have to memorize this as well. في عنا Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. It's referred to as CDC. This is belongs to USA, and it contains information regarding the disease. It contains data and statistics regarding morbidity and mortality, and you can access it for free. طيب, Mediscape, I think I talked about Mediscape previously ولا لا? Let me just click on it again here. Okay, I already, I think, talked about this. And as I told you, you can search, you can learn. It contains many useful information regarding the therapy. Okay. في عنا Dibero, if you remember when I talked about Dibero, is very well known, has a very well known textbook اللي هو Pharmacotherapy, a Pathophysiological Approach, برضه by Magro Hill. يعني you will find it في Access Pharmacy. Okay, let me find it here. شوف في عندنا نابلكس كمان. ايوه. Okay, this one. شوفوا ايوه Dibero, very well known, Joseph Dibero, and we met this guy a long time ago, maybe 6 years or something like that. Okay, and this is available in text. Also, it's available in electronic format. في عنا pharmacotherapy casebook. It's included في Access Pharmacy as well. طيب, what about toxicology? For example, let's say there is a patient or a customer who have taken an overdose of a drug. You can find the information in Goldfrank's Toxicologic Emergencies. It talks about poisoning and overdose and how to manage poison. But also it's in Lexicom. في عنا Lexi Toxic. هل هذا database ولا لا? What do you think? Okay, this is a database. It's with Walter Clower, with Lexicom, as I said. And it talks about toxicity agents, including chemical, pharmaceutical, nuclear, biological, terrorism agents, toxic bites, etc. And it talks about the antidotes. Okay. وهنا في عنا the third case study which you need to answer and submit. طيب, لما نيجي للveterinary medicine, what do we mean by veterinary medicine here? We mean medicine for animals. طب شو دخل الفارماسيست؟ طيب, nowadays there is the concept of one medicine, which means I can use the human medicine to substitute the animal medicine. Okay, in some cases, طبعا this can happen with you very few times, okay, in your life, maybe 2 or 3 times, but in any way you should be able to help. Someone with prescription to animal might come to you and tell you the following: I was prescribed this for my animals or my pet, and the problem is there is no pet shop nearby where I can procure the drug. So do you have a substitute? طبعا, as I told you, human and animal can or may take similar drug. Okay, for example, vitamins or something else. Okay, And in this case, if you have similar drug that is given to human, okay, the same drug, but in human for human consumption, in this case you can ish, you can sell it to the person. Maybe it will be even at cheaper price compared to the animal medicine. Okay, because animal medicine might come from far away, and this will cost a lot of money. So, but of course, you don't give animal medicine to human. You can give human medicine to animal. طبعا, as I told you, if the prescription contain the same drug that is available in your pharmacy. This will reduce the cost. It will help the veterinarians to control their inventory. يعني suppose they have shortage, they don't have time to ask for this medication from far away. So in this case, they can go to the pharmacy. As I told you, you will not expect this regularly, not every week or every month, maybe in your life, maybe a few times. Here we have some references for animals and pets management. We will not focus on that. And inshallah, in next time, we will talk about secondary literature, primary literature, and alternative resources. For now, I hope you enjoyed the lecture, and please, if you have any question, you know when to ask me. You have the WhatsApp group, you have my email, and our meetings في lecture. During the lectures, يعني you have a lot of opportunities to ask me in case you need clarification about something. Remember, what I need from you is the following: to memorize the title. Okay, the titles اللي هون, for example. Okay, don't need to memorize these for veterinary. I'm not gonna ask you that. But for example, lexitoxic, you need to know. You need to know Gold-Frank's toxicologic emergencies. طيب, what you need to know is what can I use this for? If I ask you a question, okay, about toxicity, so you need to know where I can go. Do I go to general drug product, or is it better to go for something with specialty in toxicity? Okay. As I told you, this is not all the references that are there. Actually, I removed many of them just to facilitate things for you and to make it easier. But I will not ask you for these additional things. All what I'm asking you is to try and memorize, as I told you, the title and what is it about, what information it gives you. That's all, nothing else. يعني publisher is not required, although it's good for you to become familiar with the publisher. Okay, I hope this is very clear to you. Goodbye.